Hi everyone, in today's video tutorial I'll show you how to make a custom fall frame, and we'll be using the Simply Elegant template pack. So I have Dazzling Reflections already open, and I'll go up to Import Picture, and then I'll just scroll down until I find the picture that I'll be using today. So here it is right here. I'll click Open and that brings it into the program for me. So now I'll go over to the templates and I'll just open the template selection here. And then I'll scroll down to the Simply Elegant template pack. I'll be using KSP 10, so I'll click on it to select, double click on my photograph, click on the active segment, and now I can freely move this image around inside the template. Now I don't need to fill in the center, so I'm going to reduce the size of the photograph, and I'm just using that black box and then pushing in with my mouse. And then again, I'll just manipulate the photo inside the template. Actually, I might make it a little bit bigger here. And I like how this little branch is making almost like a frame here for me. So I want to make sure that I capture that. Okay, so now I'm pretty happy with this kaleidoscope right here. And the black lines that you see are for reference only. If you would prefer not to see them, you can click on the icon that says Show Hide Templates. That will remove them. Or click again and it puts them back in place. Now we have a couple of options here. We can print this frame directly from Dazzling Reflections, or we can choose to export it and use it in another program. So let's begin by looking at the exporting it. I'll go up to File, I'll select Export, I'll enter the size of the exported image, and I'm going to say 8 inches. Click OK. I'm going to save this to my desktop, and I'll call it Fall Frame. And I'm going to save it as a file type PNG. Okay, and I'm going to click Save. Now this file has been exported and saved in PNG format. And I'll show you that one in just a moment. But if I was to print this from Dazzling Reflections, I would go up to the icon that says Printing Screen. And now I've got my ruler here. If I go to Print Wizard, I can either type my dimensions in the X and Y boxes, or I can use the slider bar. So if I wanted to print this at 7.5 inches, I would just use the slider bar until it comes to 7.5 by 7.5. When I go to print, it brings me to a preview screen, and this is what the image would look like on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Now you do have another option. If I go back to Print Wizard, and for example, if you wanted to use a standard size photo frame, say a 5 by 7 or an 8 by 10, you can make those changes in these boxes right here. So if I wanted my kaleidoscope to be 5 by 7, I would just type 5 in the X and then 7 in the Y. When I click print, this shows me what the image would look like. Now you could print this going, vertically, or you could do it horizontally, whatever your choice is. The important thing to note is it actually is stretching your image, so the top portion would be wider than the sides. But once you put this in a frame, it would match up just perfectly. So that's the options that you have. So what I'm going to do is actually print this from Dazzling Reflections, and then I'll show you what that looks like and how I finish up the frame. So here's my kaleidoscope all cut out, and I've mounted it to some green cardstock, and I did use a double-sided foam tape to give it some dimension and add some shadow. The next thing I need to do is determine what size do I want to cut the gold paper to. So I'm going to look at my kaleidoscope, and at this point here where these two little branches intersect, this makes a nice little frame. So I took my ruler and I measured from the left to the right, and that measurement was 3 3/4 inches. So I decided to cut my paper at 3.5 inches. So that's what that looks like. Then I took my cream cardstock with the verse and cut that at 3 1/4 inches. Now I did add a double-sided foam tape to the back of the gold paper and mounted that on top of the kaleidoscope. So now let me put this all together, and I'll put it in the frame, and then you can see what the finished one looks like.